There is a violence that looks like a hug, and there is a prison that looks like a palace. We are trained to fear the wolves that wait in the dark forest, and we are trained to fear the storms that break the branches of the trees. But we are rarely trained to fear the gardener who waters us too much until our roots rot in the mud. We celebrate the idea of protection. We believe that to love a child is to build a wall around them so high that no arrow can pierce their skin and no cold wind can chill their bones. But we forget the fundamental law of the avian world, which is that a bird born in a cage thinks that flying is an illness. Today, I want to speak to you about the tragedy of the golden cage. It is the story of how parents with the best intentions perform the cruelest amputations. They cut the wings of their children, not with shears of iron, but with shears of fear, and they call it love. They whisper the most dangerous sentence in the human language. I am doing this for your own good. This is the story of a young man named Julian, who was loved so much that he ceased to exist. Julian was born with fire in his belly. When he was a boy, he climbed the highest trees not because he wanted to see the view, but because he wanted to feel the terror of the height. He drew pictures of strange worlds on the walls of his bedroom. He asked questions that made the adults uncomfortable. He had the wild, chaotic energy of a creator. But his parents were architects of safety. They were good people. They were successful people. They had built a life of comfort through cautious decisions and risk management. They looked at Julian's fire, and they did not see a gift. They saw a hazard. They saw a house that might burn down. So they began the slow, systematic process of extinguishing the flame. They did not use water. They used gold. When Julian wanted to study art and travel through Europe with nothing but a backpack, his father sat him down in the leather chair of his library. His father did not shout. He smiled a sad, wise smile. He opened a spreadsheet. He showed Julian the cost of living. He showed him the statistics of starving artists. He spoke of retirement funds and dental insurance and the compound interest of stability. He said, Julian, I want you to be free, but true freedom is money. Art is a hobby for the weekends. Law is a life for the weekdays. I have arranged an internship for you at my firm. It is a golden opportunity. Everyone would kill for this. Do not throw away your future for a childish dream. Julian felt the heavy velvet blanket of logic descend over him. He felt the guilt. He looked at his father's face, which was lined with worry and love. He didn't want to be the ungrateful son. He didn't want to be the fool who jumped off the cliff while his father offered him a bridge. So he said yes. He took the internship. He went to law school. He put on the suit. He cut his hair. He stopped drawing on the walls. The fire did not go out immediately. It flickered for years. But without air, even the strongest fire turns to ash. Julian became a successful lawyer. He made partner by 30. He bought the house in the gated community. He drove the luxury car that hummed like a spaceship. His parents were so proud. They bragged about him at dinner parties. They said, look at our son, he is settled. He is safe. We did a good job. They looked at the cage they had built, and they polished the bars until they shined. They did not see a prisoner. They saw a prince. But if you looked at Julian's eyes, you saw the truth. You saw a domesticated animal that had forgotten the smell of the rain. Julian was anxious. He was depressed. He took pills to sleep, and he took pills to wake up. He went on vacations to exotic places, but he brought his phone and checked his emails by the pool. He was physically present, but spiritually absent. He had safety, but he did not have aliveness. The tragedy of the golden cage is that it is so comfortable that you cannot justify leaving it. If the cage were made of rusted iron and smelled of rot, you would break the lock. You would fight. But when the cage is made of gold, and the food is delivered on time, and the pillows are soft, you question your own sanity. You think, I have everything, why am I unhappy? You begin to believe that the defect is in you. You think you are broken because you are not satisfied with paradise. But it is not paradise. It is a zoo. And in the zoo, the animal survives, but the spirit dies. Julian's parents did not clip his wings because they hated him. They clipped his wings because they were terrified of his flight. They projected their own fears onto him. They saw the world as a place of danger and scarcity. They wanted to clone their own survival strategy into their son. They wanted immortality. If Julian followed their path, it validated their choices. If Julian went his own way and succeeded, it would have terrified them, because it would have proven that their caution was unnecessary. Parents often kill the dreams of their children to protect the validity of their own compromises. I remember meeting Julian when he was 40. He looked 60. We sat in a park and watched a group of teenagers skateboarding. They were falling. They were bleeding. They were laughing. Julian watched them with a hunger that was painful to witness. He said to me, "I have a net worth of $5 million, and I would trade every cent of it to be that kid with a scraped knee." I never scraped my knee. My parents put pads on me before I even learned to walk. I have never failed. And because I never failed, I never learned who I am. I am a construction of their anxiety. I am a monument to their fear. I looked at him, and I saw the cost of the free help. I saw the cost of the good advice. I told him, "Julian, the door is not locked. The cage is open. You can walk out." He shook his head. He touched his expensive watch. He said, "I can't. I have the mortgage. I have the expectations. I have the reputation. I have forgotten how to hunt. If I go into the wild now, I will starve. I am too old to learn how to fly." This is the curse of the well-meaning parent. By removing the obstacle, you remove the muscle. By removing the risk, you remove the glory. A child who is never allowed to be cold never learns how to build a fire. A child who is never allowed to get lost never learns how to read a compass. We think we are being kind when we carry them, but we are actually crippling them. We are stealing their victory. We are stealing their story. A story without conflict is not a story, it is a brochure. And Julian lived the life of a brochure, glossy, perfect, and completely two-dimensional. To the parents who are listening, I ask you this: what is your goal? Is your goal to raise a pet, or is your goal to raise a human? A pet is safe indoors. A pet is fed. A pet is obedient. But a human is designed for the storm. A human is designed to adapt and to overcome and to create. When you steer your child away from their passion because it doesn't pay enough, you are telling them that money is God. You are telling them that their soul is a commodity to be sold to the highest bidder. You are teaching them prostitution of the spirit. You say, "I don't want them to suffer." But suffering is the chisel that carves the statue. If you take away the chisel, you are left with a block of unformed stone. Your child needs to have their heart broken. They need to be fired. They need to get lost in a foreign city. They need to be broke, because in those moments, they will find resources inside themselves that your money cannot buy. They will find resilience. They will find character. And to the children who are sitting in the golden cage right now, I speak to you with urgency. You might be 20, or you might be 50. It does not matter. You are sitting there, and you are grateful for the safety, but you are dying of boredom. You are dying of the unlived life. You are angry at your parents, but you are also dependent on them. You are waiting for them to give you permission to fly. But they will never give you permission. They cannot. They are the jailers. A jailer does not give the prisoner the key. The prisoner must steal the key. You must understand that their disapproval is the price of your freedom. You have to be willing to disappoint them. You have to be willing to break their hearts slightly, so that you do not break your own soul completely. They will cry. They will say you are ungrateful. They will predict your doom. Let them. Their fear is not your reality. You must realize that the wings can grow back. It is painful. The muscles have atrophied. The first time you try to fly, you will fall. You will crash. And your parents will be there standing at the window of the golden cage, shouting, "I told you so. I told you it was dangerous. Come back inside." Do not listen. Stand up, wipe the blood from your mouth, and jump again. The air outside the cage is thin and cold, but it is yours. The food you catch yourself might be scarce, but it will taste better than the feast served in captivity. You were not made to be a decorative object in someone else's life. You were made to be the protagonist of your own. Julian died in his cage. He had a heart attack at his desk, surrounded by awards and accolades. At his funeral, his father spoke. He said Julian was a good boy. He never gave us any trouble. He followed the path. It was the saddest eulogy I have ever heard. It was the eulogy of a life that was successfully contained. Do not let that be your eulogy. Do not let them write on your tombstone, "He was safe." Let them write, "He was bruised, he was scarred, he was terrified, but he flew." The golden cage glitters. It is seductive. It promises you a life without pain. But a life without pain is a life without meaning. Look at the bars. They are made of your parents' expectations. They are made of your fear of disappointing them. But you are not their property. You are a loan from the universe. And the universe expects a return on its investment. The universe expects you to sing your own song, not the song that was taught to you. Break the bars. Melt the gold. Sell it and buy a compass. Walk away from the safety. Walk toward the thunder. Because the thunder is where the lightning lives, and you are lightning caught in a bottle. Smash the bottle, and be what you were born to be.